let's dive right into it, man. Let's get into this. Let's talk about that first match. Darby Allin going against Joey Janela. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was when it first got announced. I mean, we'll be the first to admit, we were kind of surprised a little bit, but as you get into the more depth of the story behind it, you're like, okay, this makes sense. And the AEW team does a great job at really explaining feuds, explaining why things happen. I felt like early on when AEW kind of started off, they didn't necessarily, you kind of were just like, why is this match happening? And as they've grown as a company, you get more of the vignettes, you get the road twos, you get the announcing team really diving deep into the rhyme or reason, the history between them all. So I really appreciated that part of it. I liked how we got to see this other side of Darby. It wasn't the necessarily like the recklessness and all that. So you got a lot of the mat wrestling of him, and it was a fun change of pace. He still delivered his signature moves, his signature jumping, through the ropes, and his double stomps. So Darby looked strong. It was matched well with a little bit bigger Joey Janela. And, watching Janela last night on Dark, he really impressed. I mean, he's someone that you love him or you hate him. But I thought his main event at Dark was very impressive with Jack Evans. And I think he was really, he's a hard worker, and you can tell he lays it out on the line. He's pretty fearless. And, he took a big bump last night off the top onto the side. He almost landed on the guardrail, and he took a few big bumps tonight too. And he had some great counters to Darby. I really liked when Darby tried to do the springboard coffin drop, and Janela caught him and gave him a suplex, then a super kick. And so I was very impressed by that. And so what was kind of surprising to me, which, I mean, it made sense in the end, but the whole time, last week Team Taz was saying how that they were going to show up and that they're going to be ringside, or they're going to, kind of maybe interfere with the match, but they didn't. And the announcing team kept talking about it, but they didn't. But then we saw it later on what happened with that. But overall, this was a good way to start the match. It wasn't main event worthy, even though it was a title defense. It was a good opening match. And I would give it an elite. I'm going to give it an elite just for the fact that I thought we saw Darby grow, and it was entertaining. So to me, it's an elite.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to surprise you because that I've struggled with Joey Janela. Is one of the few talents on the roster that I had a slow time coming around to, for sure. But this match gets an elite out of me too, and I want to say, leading up to this match, I challenged myself to go back and pay attention to Joey's journey to AEW, not necessarily just his role here in the company, but all he's gone through and all he's put himself through to get to this point. And it's a reminder to all of us, I think, in life, that we all start somewhere. And that was, I gotta say, I gotta give Joey props, man. This dude has scratched and clawed to get on TV, and he's living a good life, brother. And I gotta give him this. Joey throws we saw it with Jack Evans. I've seen it on Dark several times. His offense is impressive sometimes, with the way he's willing to put all things, care to the wind, man. That dude just was willing to throw it all out there. And as fans, you got to appreciate that, a guy who sees an opportunity and goes after it. You have to respect that. So I got to give Joey his props on that. And one of the things that I loved about this match, and I know you had to as a fan, I'll just emphasize it even further, is just, this is such a rare opportunity for us as fans to see Darby, to this point in his AEW career, go against somebody who is a similar size. Yes, Joey definitely played a little bit more of the power in this match, but we're so used to Darby getting tossed around. I mean, think about the countless matches that he's had with Brian Cage, and honestly, what happened later in the night was a reminder of what happens when Darby crosses Brian Cage. But we've seen Darby go against Will Hobbs and Brian Cage, and we've seen what happens, right? Darby's always sort of on the defensive. He's always getting tossed around. He's always getting beat up. And a lot of his wins come almost feeling like a fluke, right? Some of his wins come off feeling like he lucked into it. Darby didn't luck into this win. We got to see some of his offense. We got to see more of what he's capable of, a little bit more of a technical side of Darby Allin. I even really, really loved how Darby kind of twisted Joey's arm and placed it underneath his body prior to hitting that coffin drop, only to further emphasize all the arm work that Darby did throughout the match. You saw some of those arm wrenches over the top rope. Just some of it further cemented that Darby is not just this like crash test dummy, but that he's actually an intelligent, purposeful wrestler who has some technical background behind him. And something that we needed to see to further solidify him as a champion. So for me, I'm going to give it an elite. I was actually very impressed by this match. I thought this is the match I would have picked to start off the show. It did not disappoint. Great energy throughout the match. And I think both competitors showed well. It was really nice to see the champion presented in this light. And so we got to give credit to both competitors for that. That's it.